There have been so many Lady M's before. Everyone has a sort of idea of who she is, and I certainly did. She's a well-known character in Shakespeare, a sort of villain in a way. This strong woman who manipulates the man and is underneath on the other side. But when you get into her and you actually look at the text, you find a very different person. And I think for me what was really important was the fact that they'd lost a child and this feeling of grief and how she can overcome that. I think the drive for me was looking at the grief and feeling this feeling of being empty, having nothing. Her husband's away, she's lost a child, and what she needed to overcome that, what was big enough to fill that gap. And actually I found that in most scenes she was breaking, and when she says, let's kill the king, and pushes on that, it was more to fill a deep dark hole rather than to push against him and to manipulate. So my process is I'll read the play, obviously, and I'll kind of scan my way through it, and I tend to take scenes and write maybe one sentence of what the big thing that happens in that scene. So I've got a sort of timeline of little bits, just as I get to know them. I write little paragraphs on every character so that if someone's spoken about, again, I kind of know who they are and where they come from. And then I really do research into the time, into the places, into any issues in the play. And I kind of fill my brain, I guess, a bit more academically at first, just to get a real sense of where Shakespeare was coming from at the time when he'd written it. And then once I feel that I've got a good world, a good idea of what the actual play is about, I really go through it, each little scene, like I said, and instead of having one sentence, I rip it apart, I dig for all the information that I can get, anything to do with Lady M, anything said about her, what's happened in the scenes, you know, so we've put scenes together, but what's actually happened in the scenes that Shakespeare gave us in between that we don't use, so that I can use that in the next scene, what she knows, what she doesn't know. And I feel like once I've got all that, I then just go into rehearsal and kind of forget it. And that's when I start working with Dominic and looking at, okay, what is she doing in this scene? What does she want and how is she going to get it? And what comes from that is then the physicality. I never make a decision and go, okay, I'm going to shake or tremble. But what happened is Lady M would use her hands a lot, and that just came from having nothing to do. Like there was a lot of it listening and having this energy that needed to be used up but not having anywhere to put it and bottling everything up. And your body tells people things. You know, you can hide how you feel sometimes, but your body can't. So I ended up getting a sort of tremor that would happen just because I was trying to hide so much. How I used my feet and my weight was very different as well in terms of when I felt like I was making myself stronger against Macbeth and challenging him, I really did try and root to the ground. But what was more interesting is that I never could. I can't remember a point in it where I go, okay, she is 100% strong woman here, because there's always something pushing her. She was never fully rooted, and I found that really interesting. What was really helpful with the costume changes, when I was in my nightwear, you felt younger because it was baggier and it had that sort of simple feel. But then when she went out to face the king in the world, the dress was zipped up, and that was like armour, in the same way that the makeup became like armour for me. It kind of hid her face and hid the cracks, and I always imagined a gorgeous painting, but all the paintings and layers underneath, what was actually going on. So I used to feel like I was painting this face, but underneath there were like maggots or something was eating me alive, and it was just keep covering that up, cover it up. And all these little things like visual images that you get, they just really help. A lot of it comes from you as an actor, and then how the director kind of shapes that. So the language, for sure, was overwhelming at the beginning. You're very lucky if you don't find Shakespeare's language overwhelming, especially as an actor. I never had performed Shakespeare before professionally. I would write things out how I would say them. That helped. And then it was practice. It was practice to get it into my body, and then play the intention and say it, kind of spit it out to the other actor and reach them. I didn't come to it going, this is easy. Not at all. It took a lot of work. It is overwhelming and intimidating if you've never done it before, but you absolutely get there. You just need to get it into your body. It was a whole other language for me to begin with. In this way that we filmed, I was not aware of the camera. You know, there were points where I would bump into it because I genuinely was like, oh, it's there. Like, I feel like if I was aware of the camera, I might have been more aware of like my spit or my tears or my, you know, all of that. Whereas I had freedom to just play her the way we had in the production, and they just caught what they wanted to catch. That's kind of how we did it. the king comes here tonight is huge. You know, the news is just news before. It's a prophecy of what's going to happen. Macbeth is, I've been told I'm going to become king. But the fact that the king is coming to their home tonight makes it urgent. When she hears those words, it's like a firework literally inside and trying to hide it, because she doesn't want to push Macbeth over the edge and say, well, then we shall kill him, you know? But she just takes a moment and says, well, never shall sun that morrow see. It's so important. She's kind of placing it into his hands. Are you with me on this? And, you know, he tries to say no, but she's off. She's absolutely off.